Hello, hello, hello. I'm just waiting for Jorge to get here. Freddie, can you bring me my phone? Oh, it's right here. I just asked for my phone. It's right there. Hi, Elaine. Hi, Stacy. Hi, Jennifer. Corey. Camille. Joanne. Ricardo. My iRobot has entered the room. Text Jorge and ask him where he is. Hi, Kat. Karina. Let's see. Did you call him?
Told me to text.
Can you call him? See where he is. Hey, everybody. Let's see. Who else? Hi, Patsy. There's Jorge. Jorge, I sent you an invite. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Margaret. Ah, here he is.
Hey!
Hello, Jorge.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi, turn your volume up.
No 2 seconds in it, and you're ready. Like
We can't hear you.
it's up. What is it? It's on the top.
I don't know.
It's the maximum. Should I put on the little things?
I don't know. I can't. Can you guys hear Jorge?
Can you guys hear it? Hi, Ricardo. Can you hear me? What? You really can't hear me? Let me.
It's very, very low.
I know it wasn't going to be easy. I know it wasn't a good idea.
They said they can hear you, so okay.
Is this better?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay.
I hear you before or now? Okay. Hey, everybody. Hey, Jonathan.
Okay, yeah, everyone else can hear you. I just can't hear you that well.
Selective hearing.
Well, I'm getting older, you know, my hearing is starting to go.
I know. All those force dryers.
Okay. All right, we've got about 20 people on here now. Let's go over a couple things. So, I don't know, you guys might not have even known that Jorge and I are such close friends, but I've been friends with Jorge since we were on Groomer Has It together. So if you guys, any of you guys that were around when Groomer Has It was on Animal Planet, Jorge and I were both contestants, and they cast us both because we were both from New York and we both had celebrity clients. So they thought that we were going to be at each other's throats and hate each other, but instead what happened was we actually got along really well and we became like allies in the house.
I know.
And
how many years? That was so long ago,
it was
right?
just the 20-year anniversary when you shared.
Oh, yeah.
That was like
yes.
That was in 23, so it was 2003.
Really? No.
It was a 10-year
2000
anniversary. Oh my God,
yes.
I'm making myself too old.
I know, 20 years. So I'm like, come on.
Oh my God.
No,
it can't be 20
yes,
years.
it was like okay, 2008.
It was 2008.
So it probably aired in 2009.
So it was 15 years. Okay. Can't count.
Okay, something like
Hi,
that.
Sophia.
Horrible.
Hi, Lydia. If I miss you guys, sorry. I'm trying to watch as the names are scrolling by really fast. But yeah, so we were on Groomer Has It all those years ago, and we became such good friends from that, and we've remained friends for all these years. So much to the fact that Jorge actually officiated my wedding when I got married. So that was a very special moment that we asked Jorge to officiate our wedding, and He took it very, very seriously, and he got ordained online. It was
I
a whole
know, I
vibe.
know. Yes. But other than that, that we're very that are very good friends. I had always, I have like, I gotta say, and you guys know Jonathan, so you know it. He's one of the most knowledgeable people on like everything that has. Well, he is a know-it-all, yeah. But seriously, he knows everything about pets. Not only like dogs, but he knows about cats. About like he is like a huge source of entertainment. Like when I didn't know he's he has a cat, and I thought I'm like, why she's flat? I don't. She's fat and she has like hanging boobs and stuff. Whatever. And he has all the explanations about it. So he's like a super geek and a super fun friend. So it's very weird. But I'm
A
always
super
like,
geeky, fun friend.
I know. I know if they know your past, like a party animal that turned geek, it's amazing. So I love hanging out with him because I always learn, and I'm super into education, but not into educating a lot. But you were talking last week about continuing education at trade shows, and I found that most most of the greatest groomers, they're best when you see them on their natural habitats, and that means when they're grooming. Not every great groomer is a great educator, and I realize it, but they're all great when you're watching them. He's not even paying attention. I'm talking to you guys. So so I love him. And today it was funny because he's like, oh, let's do a chat about mobile versus house calls. And it's funny because we started working at the same time today, because I text you, what you doing, Seth? And you're like, oh, I just get up. And like we left home at the same time. We came home basically at the same time. And you told me that you did 5 dogs today on a mobile grooming, and I did 4 house calls, and pretty much on the same time. So let's chat about what it takes your day. I'm like, what is the hardest part? Is as a mobile groomer, is traffic and commuting is like a big part of like your headache, because it's usually my only headache.
Sorry, having technical difficulties here. I was about to lose power, so I had to plug in a charger. Okay. Well, see, now I'm mobile now, but
Correct.
I've done it all. Like, when Jorge and I actually met all those years ago, we were both living in New York, and at that time we both did house call grooming at that time. So,
Correct. Well,
I
I was
started
working at the salon, and I was doing like a little part-time
like branching
side.
out a little on the side,
Correct.
building your clientele.
But when you move out after the show, when you decided to move to Florida, that's where you took me with you. You showed me the way that you were doing it as a full-time business. And it was pretty different than me, going on a weekend, on a day off to do a couple clients, sneaking them here and there just to.
But that's how I started too, because when I started doing mobile grooming, I was working full time in a salon, and I didn't even know that house call grooming was a thing. I didn't know it existed, and we had a customer whose dog had broken their leg, a little toy poodle, and she didn't want the dog getting done in the salon, so she asked if the owner of the salon, if someone could come to her house and give the dog a bath. So she sent me, and I did it in this, woman's kitchen sink. Now, of course, if you were very wealthy in Manhattan, your apartment is like the size of a 2 or 3,000 square foot home, but just in an apartment building. So it's like a house that's like 3 floors of the building. So her kitchen was humongous, and she had this giant sink, and I bathed and dried the dog right there in the kitchen. And it kind of dawned on me like, hey, this is like a market, because I was getting 100% of the money rather than a commission or a salary. So I did exactly what you did. I started a little bit, a client here, a client there, maybe one after work, one on the weekend. and eventually, like when I moved and I handed a bunch of my clients over to you, that's how you kind of catapulted into full time. But when in my situation, I just was unhappy working at the salon, and I had built up enough house call clients that I thought, well, if I really budget and I pull my belt tight, I can survive on these handful of house call clients and hopefully build that up. And that's how I started in mobile grooming, and it was kind of winging it, and I think you kind of did the same thing as you went to people's apartments, as we saw today with your stories. Like, you kind of make it work wherever you can. So talk to me a little bit about, like, when you go to a house for the first time and you don't know what the setup is like, what are the things that you look at where you think of, how can I groom this dog in a house?
The first thing is like, at the beginning, I will take pretty much anybody. Like when you work at a salon, you just go, you need a client, you do it. I work on tiny little bathrooms that I got to squeeze myself between the sink and and they're sometimes not the more sanitary places and whatever. Then, but little by little, you start in the salon or you start anywhere, you start curating your clients, when slowly. You don't have to be rude, you don't have to be one of those. I never been one of those, I don't do this, I don't do that, I don't demand. I'm like, don't get me on the demanding thing. We all demand. But I never been one of those, I don't know, full of crap groomers that sometimes they feel so entitled because what they do is so good and it's so appreciated that sometimes they lean a little bit into like their ego becomes a little bit, and believe me, all groomers, we are all a little bit of a diva. I am a big one, and but you do that, you start curating. Like today, it was the perfect example. Whoever followed me was the first dog I did it in the laundry room. Nice, beautiful apartment, but a big tub, a big deep sink, a small area to dry, but because it's a Cavalier that doesn't get much, and they love it, fluffy and stuff, I can handle it. I don't need to have a table.
I used to do a Cavalier in someone's apartment in New York, but I mean, with breeds like that, the one thing that I always felt very funny about, because if you do a Poodle or a Maltese, you can kind of contain the mess to the area where you're growing. But when you're blowing out a Cavalier or a Pomeranian in somebody's house, that hair is going everywhere.
And that's one thing that a house calls you decide to implement. I'm not I don't do this, I don't do that. I'm a I don't clean kind of guy. Like, I needed up myself, and it took courage to start putting my foot down, because I will go to a lot of places where they will handle me the vacuum like I'm like, you just made a mess in my kitchen and I expecting you to deep clean after. And I slowly start like, tell me when your cleaning lady comes and let's coordinate. Because as much as I try to neat it up, I always say, I will never groom my own dog on my kitchen.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you're choosing to do that. And that means that you have to have a plan to the aftermath. Of course, I'm not going to leave a pile of hair, but if you're blowing up a dog next to an oven or the stove, most likely when you turn on the stove, you might smell a little bit like burned hair, because
So let's talk about that, because now, for those of you who don't know, New York City, space is a premium, right? So space is not something that you get in New York unless you're extremely wealthy and you can afford to have the space. But your average person who's doing well for themselves in New York still has limited space. Your kitchens sometimes are probably about the size of what most of you would think a bathroom should be, because that's just what it is. I mean, you have a small apartment. In your kitchen, the two of us can barely be in there at the same time,
No,
right?
we can't.
Yeah. Right. So when you're in these New York apartments and you're blow drying, like Jorge's saying, sometimes the hair can go all over. And Paula had asked him the question. She wanted to know, what do you do with the hair? So when you're doing like Maltese or poodles and stuff, you would bathe and blow them out before you do any of the cutting, so you're not blowing hair around, and then you cut them. And I would always tell them, if you leave me a vacuum, I'll be happy to just vacuum up the area, but I'm not going to go and like clean your kitchen, right? But honestly, I would say 99% of the time, people would say, no, don't bother, I'll take care of it. Or they would have their cleaning person come the same day. But
most of them,
right? But that was something that always bothered me. So I have a funny story about a Cavalier. So I used to do this Cavalier for this very high profile person. I'm not going to say who it is, but a very high profile person. And his house, when I went there the first time, I said to her, he wasn't there, the housekeeper was there. I said, when I blow dry this dog, hair is going to go everywhere. And she said, it's fine. I said, no, like really, it's like little hairs are going to get in, like all the, because there was like little things with spoons and stuff like that, all over the kitchen. So we got into the system where she learned that when I was coming, she would kind of cover everything with plastic, and then she would clean when I was done. And it worked great for years. And then she left, and he hired a new housekeeper. And the first time I went, I said, when I blow dry, there's going to be hair all over. And she said, don't worry, it's fine, I'll take care of it. I said, okay. Groom the dog, whatever. She was in a whole nother room in the house, in the apartment. So when I was all done, like I looked around and there was just hair everywhere, and I went down the hallway and I went to say to her, listen, if you get me the vacuum, I'll vacuum it. Because I kind of also didn't want to like freak her out as to how hairy it was. But she was like, no, I have to clean the kitchen still, go ahead. I said, okay. Took my money and I left. Well, that evening I get a call from the owner, and they were like, so-and-so, said that when you left like this horrendous mess in the kitchen. I've never heard anything like this before when you've come to groom. And I tried to explain to him the situation and that his other housekeeper was so diligent about cleaning up. But apparently the new housekeeper was not having it at all, because he decided to start going to a salon after that. So
I know. So you need to be very clear to the owners of households what of the aftermath. And on Cavaliers, I use a little force dryer.
yeah,
Believe me.
of course you have to use a force dryer.
It's hair everywhere.
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 But it's so funny because doing mobile grooming in the van, that was a thought in my head, was when we start blowing out dogs, that hair is going to go everywhere in the van. And the very first time at the end of the day after grooming, mobile all day, after we got back, we vacuumed and everything. And I just remember thinking like, God, there's little hair particles everywhere. How am I going to do it? And it dawned on me that you can open all the doors and use your force dryer. And so I opened all the doors, and that's what we do at the end of a work day, is we blow out, all the hair from behind the tub, from behind the cabinet, from up on the shelves. And it's amazing because to have that force dryer blow all that hair out, that's another way to keep it clean. So it really helps, in that regard. But, when you're doing house calls, you're going to have to vacuum it, or they're going to have to vacuum it. So you do have to think about it.
Yeah, and it takes time.
So you have to think about what breeds are actually really good for a house call, right? Because not all breeds might be ideal for a house call situation. If they don't, you're in a unique situation because you have a very affluent clientele. So a lot of them have a space designated for the grooming.
Correct. But I curated my clientele from, 15 years. It has taken me to be smart about, it's not only about the dog, it's not only about the money, it's about the whole situation, how the whole household is going to fit into my business. It's not just if you're in a store, they bring your dog, you get it done, the dog leaves. This is a whole lot of thing.
Jorge, guess who's on here?
Who?
Ada.
Hi,
Ada Nieves.
Yeah, I know. I saw she asked something about cats. Who cares about cats?
We don't do cats. We're dog groomers.
Oh,
We're not cat groomers. That's a different live.
Oh yes, there are people who love to groom them. I know.
Yeah, I have a cat myself personally, but I do not like grooming cats, because my cat, I started her with grooming from when she was 12 weeks old every week. And she is so used to the baths now. She likes water. I can bathe her. I can blow dry her. She doesn't fuss at all. But most cats do not behave like that. So I'm not a cat groomer. I don't like to groom cats. It's not my forte. Those of you who love to groom cats, God
Oh, it's
bless you.
great.
But that's not my
The
avenue.
last cat that I groomed was when we did groomer has it.
Oh God, those
That was
Persians.
the last cat and the last chow.
Oh yeah, that was something too.
Yeah.
All right, so let's
So,
talk about now. Tell me about, because okay, in my van, you know, I have all the equipment, right? A mobile grooming van
correct.
comes. You have your mobile, you have your hydraulic table, you have your tub, you have force dryers, you have a vacuum, you have power for the clippers and the scissors and everything. But when you're a house call, you have to cart everything around in a bag. Do you use a
Yes.
table? Like, tell us what is
Listen,
your
look,
setup?
here I just got in from work and here is my bag. This is my business.
That's your salon in a bag.
That's my salon.
So
That's my
okay, so to lighten your load first, before we get into what you do bring with you, what things do you require the clients to keep at their house so you don't have to carry it?
well, it's usually the shampoo. I just to make that easy, I carry a little bottle of concentrated. That is the one that I use for everybody. But if somebody, I learned through the years that, you know, good shampoos matter, you know, and matter on their specific dogs. So I do order, most of my clients, I order a little grooming table now. They're they're cheap. They are, you
Like
know, they cost.
a folding
Yes,
table? Okay.
yes, and not the rickety ones, those with the ring side that you can. No, 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 no. A regular
So you
folding
have them
table.
buy you a sturdy table. That's one thing
Correct,
you have
correct.
them
A
do.
smaller, you know, depend the dogs they have, but it's usually $40, you
Yeah.
know, on Amazon or something. They, and since it's something that they don't, it's not going to be used at a salon with, you know, you will use it once a
Yeah.
week on one dog. It doesn't have to be top quality, because you're not going to
Right.
put a Saint Bernard on it. And so I ask them to have that, and the dogs, the ones who have dogs that they need a force dryer, I will ask them to get the little ones. And to be honest, when I used to go to trade shows and I used to find sales, depend on the client. I don't ask them to buy it. I will buy it myself. If
Yeah.
it's something that will make my life easier, when I know that I groom the dog every single week, you know, if most people will just order it with no
Right.
problem,
Right.
as long as it's easy to order.
Okay.
You know, nobody goes through hassle.
What do you bring as far as a dryer?
But talking about people who you trust, you know, I don't trust many groomers when they come with those weird endorsement deals from companies that we don't know. But the other day I read a post by Jill Pipino. Yeah,
Okay.
that I love
Yeah.
her. And, you know, she's a good groomer. She has no endorsement. And she came out that she bought, because I use the Italian one that is like $300. The
Like a
other one,
professional
yes.
beauty blow dryer? Okay.
Yeah. But then I heard her talking about this little Conair that is so strong. And she was showing how she was drying a standard poodle. And
What?
yeah, and it's $100. It's so strong. It has a sound that it sounds like a plane engine. It's not louder than a regular hair dryer, but I noticed that some dogs, that pitch bothers them a little more. So I realized it that it's for the, I don't know, 85% of my dogs. There are like two dogs that I noticed that they don't, because it has like a bzzz
It's got
thing,
it's
a
just too high
pitch
pitch.
that, but out of all my dogs, because I was like, let me try it, but I keep the other one. just in case.
Yeah.
So far, it works perfect. The temperature, the lower temperature, because what is important is to find a dryer that it has a low temperature.
Yeah.
You don't want to go no temperature because you will never dry it, and you don't want to go high because you're going to burn the dog. So not every dryer has a good medium temperature.
Right.
So the professional one that we use forever, Tornado or something like that, it's like $300. It's great. It lasts forever. But I'm loving this new one, and I got I heard another rumor.
I'm curious to know how. Like, I want you to keep us updated on this, on how long the heat coils last, because I always found that when I was doing house call, if I would buy like store-bought blow dryers, the heating element would burn out really fast because they're meant to be used, once a day, a couple times a week. But the professional beauty blow dryers, they have a stronger heating element. They're meant to be used throughout the day. So that's what I've always used. The one I use is called a Solano Twin Turbo 2600.
Oh, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yes.
But now in the mobile vans, it's a little different because we don't have fluff dryers. So it comes equipped with 2 force dryers. One is really high velocity. The other one is low velocity, but it has a heating element. So the low one you can actually use as a fluff dryer if you put it in one of the flexible arms. Yeah, like one of those. And then you kind of point it. But we do keep a beauty blow dryer also plugged in that we can use. And it really just depends. You have to check because you have to check how many volts your van conversion can handle. So mine can handle up to 14 volts, and the blow dryer that I happen to have is a 14 volt blow dryer. So I've never had a problem, as long as I have noticed if I use the handheld blow dryer while a force dryer is on, it does take some of the extra electricity. So we tend to not use it if another dryer is going, but they've come in really handy. But that is one thing that I do miss is, having that fluff dryer just to give you that, so that you can really stretch that coat.
Yeah.
So, when you're mobile, when you're mobile in a van, you have to really kind of learn to work with the equipment that you have that is a little bit different than what you would have in the salon, but it's still just as efficient. There's just a learning curve.
Correct. And that's why I'm just saying I'm liking it right now, but I want to see how long it lasts.
For sure.
Because I would probably use it, I don't know, an hour. It takes me probably the longest to dry properly one of those, cotons. It probably takes me like a good hour to stretch in the hair. I think I don't I never time myself, so I might just be talking totally out of my
butt.
But I use it, and the other ones I have no problem. But I'm trying this one, and and so far,
and it's
so
working
good.
So far, right? It's doing the job.
So far, it's working. Then another thing, I bring everything, and you know who I learned this little trick of this little thing? Bethany Frankel on TikTok. She's obsessed with little with little bags, and I got this on Temu, and so everything I have is super packed properly.
So now this is interesting because when I did house call, I had a backpack like yours. Mine was like a Kipling rolling backpack, but I would kind of just pack everything in there. I love this idea of having these clear bags that you can separate your tools, because then you can just look through the clear and see what is what.
And they fit, but it's neither, because on the bag, if you're not as a house call with a backpack, if you don't stash it properly, all the weight will go to the back, to the bottom, and then it's uncomfortable on your back. You're like in the middle of the subway and you hear zzz, and you want to say like, it's not a vibrator, it's my clipper. I constantly like talking, I'm like, zzz, and I'm like, okay,
yes.
It's not the rabbit, it's the the Kenchi.
I remember when I first started, I bought one of those. Do you remember? I'm sure you guys have seen them. They're in the catalogs. They call them the Lazy Susan grooming table. It's a little round grooming table that goes on a table and it spins around. So I brought that and I used to carry it over my back and I would bring it and set that up on people's counters. And it was actually Ricky Lauren. So Jorge and I both I used to groom Ralph Lauren's dog. And then when I moved to New York, Jorge took them on as a client. And when I went there, she hated that thing because she said it reminded her of she said like a thing that they would hang people from. What do you call
I know
it?
people have like this weird thing about. I can't believe that you were able to put bikini into that twirling thing. That dog wasn't.
I did it 2 times, and then we just figured out how to do her without it because she was too frantic about how it looked. But she said it reminded her. It doesn't look like a guillotine, but she said it reminded her of a guillotine, which chops your head. And I understood what she meant, though. She was thinking like a thing where you hang them. But
but let me show you. So
all right. So now this is everyone. This is what Jorge brings with him to do a house call grooming. This is his bag.
So, I have my little bag with, the clippers. I have one that uses the regular blades. Then I have the Kenchi 5-in-1 and the nail filer. Then on this one, I have the brushes and nail, little thing. So everything has a pack. I have my scissors. I have extra blades that I really shouldn't have. And this is what I take. One little shampoo, one little conditioner, and the ear cleaner, and the chargers. A bottle to dilute the thing, and a glam thing.
I love it.
And that's it.
I love how organized it is because of those pockets, those pouches.
Let me tell you, that is a game changer. Not to be digging, and the thing is, I have different bags for different days, because one thing about mobile or house calls, you know exactly who you're grooming. So it's really not surprise most of the time.
Right.
So I know which days I need to bring something extra. And I have a little bag, for example, for Wednesdays, it's one dog caramel, and I know I have her shampoo. So I have at home a little bag with a, with a sign, and it's hers.
Yeah.
So I make it very easy. Plus, this is, I think each of these bags is like $1 or something.
Yeah.
If this is the cutest gift, I'm telling you, for like when clients want, I always make them buy their own brushes. That's one thing that I try. Not everybody has a full set, and I bring a few, but I know what dogs like, and I make them their little bag, and I charge them for it.
So somebody has a question about your system. They want to know, how do you stay organized when you're going from client to client? Do you just always put everything back in the same pouch and everything?
Exactly. I take this out. I diluted what I'm going to use, put it back. It's super easy when you know that, because these are all fit like domino pieces.
Right.
So it's easier. Before, I used to have bags where they have little, sleeves for this. I took more time for that. Now I know where everything goes. So if I need a brush, I know exactly where it is. I don't have to look into the bag. I take this bag, and I put it on my table. I take this and I take this directly to the washing area. So honestly, it has made it much faster, my like close up.
Yeah.
And yes, I go to one client to another all day.
Well, I used to do the same thing. I would look at my clients for the day, and I would bring what I need for the day, because there's no point in carrying around equipment that you're not going to use, right? Because it's just extra weight. And trust me, after those of you that are listening, if you're considering doing house call, some things to consider are your bag has to be a rolling bag, something that's easy to transport. I'll tell you why.
You can, yes.
I'm going to tell you why. For a long time, I just carried everything on my back, right, in my backpack, up and down the subway stairs, in and out of cabs. And I can tell you that today I am paying for that, because I am having really serious back issues. This week alone, I had an MRI last week. I saw a doctor this week. They want to do shots into my spine. I'm on meloxicam, which is a bone anti-inflammatory, and this is all related to my lower back because of carrying. I mean, I had an injury a long time ago, but carrying all of that stuff, all of that weight over and over and over and over, compiled with the injury I had, it just was compressing my spine. And now I just did an MRI and my discs are a mess. So if you're considering doing house call, consider how you're going to transport those things around. Jorge, you know,
I'm
he's not getting any younger.
I'm
He's
old.
old.
But I
And
have seen you dance, so I don't know why you blame it all on the Clippers. Suddenly, I see you. I wouldn't go there, but it is a 30 pound. It is a 30-pound bag because I know exactly it's 30 pounds. I can do wheels because I live in New York City. It's gross. I don't want to step on the street.
I know.
Nevertheless, so you can use in the city, but it's 30 pounds. It keep you straight. It's a.
Somebody has a question for you. They want to know, how long does each house call appointment take you? From from the time you arrive the door till you leave the door?
Under 2 hours.
For what kind of dog? Example.
I only do like small dogs. Let's say today I did the Cavalier. I show up at 9 a.m. and I was done, totally done by 10. And and it's a full coat, and but because it's weekly, so the weekly dogs, you don't do everything every week. I don't have to plug the ears every week. I clean them, but I don't plug them. The nails, I use I clip them and grind them once, but then probably for the next 2 weeks, it's only grinding them.
Well, if you're seeing them that regularly, you don't need to clip every time.
Correct. So there are a lot of things that depend of how often you see the dog, is how much work you will have to do. When you see a dog every week, the dog will never have an ear infection because you saw it within a week. So you catch everything super early. So, but I will say that no more than 2 hours to do from a Cavalier to a Coton and even a poodle that I'm doing often. Ooh, the light went off on the reality.
No, Ricardo, Jorge cannot answer that question. Thank you very much.
What question was?
He wants to know, can you tell us what Jonathan was like during his clubbing days? And the answer is no, he cannot communicate that to you.
Only fans. And OnlyFans coming soon.
I wish I had an OnlyFans. I'd be a lot richer. Hi, Olga.
The good thing that everything I know about him and he know about me, it happened before the internet.
Thank you. I am so happy that my party days were before everybody had a phone and the internet. Takes the fun out of it. My God. Anyway,
I know.
Moving along. Okay.
Bye.
So we've talked about what to bring. We've talked about the
2 hours. How long usually takes you in the van?
Okay.
Like to do
so when I used to do house call, I would book about 6 to 7 appointments in a day, and I got it down. I could get some of them down to an hour, some an hour and a half. I tried, just like with mobile in the van, you try to coordinate, all your Upper East Side people in one day, all your West Side people, so that you're not driving traveling all around the city. But in mobile, it's the same way. So we can book when Freddie and I were working together in the van full time, we were doing too much. We were doing like 10 to 12 a day. And I can tell you that's way too much, but we had a lot of multi-dog households. So with 2 people, it goes along. But I remember this. There was something when I first started doing this, I was on one of the mobile groomer groups, and there was a question on the group. Someone had asked about this exact question. How many dogs are you doing in a day? And different people had different answers, but they were like all along the lines of like 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6. And I said, I do like 10 to 12. And I remember some lady responded to me, oh, well, you're new at mobile. You haven't figured out yet. Just because you can do that many doesn't mean you should do that many. And I thought, she's crazy. Of course I should. I like the money. I'm going to make all the money. But after like 2.5 years of that schedule that Freddie and I had together, it just became so hard on our bodies, and we were so exhausted all the time because no, it's not normal to do that many dogs in that short amount of time in a mobile setup. And we were working long hours, we were rushing around, we didn't eat lunch, we had no time for ourselves. So we definitely dialed it back. I think a comfortable amount for any house call or mobile groomer, if you're doing coated dogs. Now, I'm not talking about Chihuahuas and Pugs and smooth Jack Russells and little things like that. I'm talking if you're doing Yorkies, Maltese, Shih Tzus, Catans, Havanese, Cavaliers, blow dry, bath, blow dry, and a haircut, I think a comfortable number is 6. I think
it's
a comfortable number is 6 to make all of your bills and have enough. Some people like to do 5. I think you need to get a little bit faster and push yourself to do 6. I think maybe if it's even 7 in a day, if the timing calls for it, can be okay if you have like 2 dogs in the same house.
Yeah.
But I think, I think 5 to 6 is a reasonable number depending upon what you're charging and depending upon what your overhead is, because as long as you're able to pay your bills and make your happy salary, right? That's what it comes down to. And if you want to make more money, you're going to have to either increase your prices, which I've always pushed my prices to the top of the limit, because of my expertise and what I've invested in my career. I've invested a lot of time and a lot of money to get better and be better and learn more. And so, yes, I am going to charge for my services because I can identify skin issues. I can identify health issues. I do notice when a dog is not the same as they were the last time. Not everybody knows how to dial in and tune into those things. But that comes with time and experience and expertise. So people are paying me for my, not just the job I'm doing in that moment, but for all the years I've put in to get to where I can do that job quickly and knowledgeably for them, right? That's what it comes down to.
Correct. And we're doing about the same number. I'm walking from one place to another, but the same thing. For example, today I did 4 dogs and I took 2 subways. And
okay.
Because so then I did, my first dog I took to the second dog, then it was, 4 blocks, 5 blocks. So you have to try to make it smart when you're walking. If I could, I would check how many steps I did today, and you would tell me how many steps you did. I did about 7,000 steps on a short day. How many you did? 7.
Probably 700. Okay.
So there's a plus. You walk around 7,000 steps with a 32-pound.
I will say that is something I attribute to all my years living in New York. I was always very fit and like athletic built, and I didn't play any sports or anything like that, but I always had an athletically built body. And people used to say, "Oh wow, like I can't believe how good you look with the way that you eat," because my diet is hard, right? I mean, my roommate in New York City was like, he was like a gym rat. He was at the gym every day, all the time, just to have a little bit. And I didn't go at all. And I looked like him. And he was like, I hate you because I have to go to the gym to look like that. And you eat all those things like you do, and you look like that. But I attribute it to carrying that backpack up and down the subway stairs. I was getting cardio all day long. I mean, that's really what it was. Because when I moved to Florida and I wasn't doing house calls anymore, I noticed a change. I noticed a change in my physique because New York City really, really is a place where you have to walk everywhere. So you do get a lot of exercise. Yeah. So that's because a perk.
I have a car and I can't use it. It's ridiculous.
Well, you can't drive around New York City. I mean, that makes no sense.
No. So I have to. But I wonder how I know a lot of people do house calls outside the city with their cars. And they bring, more equipment and they bring, dryers and tables and stuff. So that's another,
So some people are asking about the charging differences between mobile and house call. And I think it's one and the same. I think, as far as asking what prices are, nobody can really tell you how to do that. It's so nuanced because the city you live in, compared to the incomes in that area, compared to the types of dogs you're doing, your
Everything.
experience level, what kind of service you provide. So I provide a service. I charge a flat fee for a small dog, and that's just how I do it. But it's all inclusive. Whether you want those things or not, it's all inclusive.
Correct.
So I know some mobile groomers, whether you're house call or mobile, where they add on charge. They have a base price, and then they add on for nails, they add on for filing, they add on for ear clean. They add all these. It's kind of like Spirit Airlines, like where like yeah, your ticket is $49, but if you want to breathe air, that's another $10. If if you want a seat, that's another $10. But it's kind of like the same premise. Whereas I just have always felt like I like to just offer everything at a flat rate, and if you don't want me to do something, well, that's your choice, but this is what you get in the package, right? I mean, that's just how I've always done it.
And I have clients that I haven't increased their price in 10 years.
Yeah, but your clients pay you
because
like a insane, ridiculous amount of money.
I charge a lot. So because to me it's very stressful to be just cutting it, because I know next year I have to charge a little bit more, because I charge a little bit more. So I charge, and it will be 4 or 5 years, and I won't have to change the price on anybody.
Yeah.
So that's why it's very hard to talk about prices.
Yeah.
But it makes no sense.
It's going to be different. New York is going to be different from Atlanta. It's going to be different from Oklahoma. It's going to be different from California.
Even if you have the same kind of clients. I'm not talking that clients, it's just the city where you live. People are more used to the local prices, and it doesn't matter. You can have a mega wealthy client and somewhere in the middle of Florida, and I have one on Fifth Avenue, and their price level on their head is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because where they live, where they're used to it, when they know the hustle that takes to get there, or to be in time. So it's very hard you cannot price your client based on on their owner's wealth. You have to price it what it works for you on your business, because if you're not happy the way you get paid, it's going to translate on everything.
Now let's talk a little bit about, because this is a big difference between mobile and house call, is I don't want to say the connection. It's not the connection with the dog, it's the connection with the client. Because when you're house call, and I know this because I was house call, and now we do mobile, and I was salon in there for 12 years in between. When you are mobile, it is more personal than the salon, for sure, in a mobile van, because it's one-on-one service, it's straight through. So it's a little bit of a different relationship. But when you're house call, it's even more personal. It's even more like when I was house call, I remember, and you can share your experiences, but I remember a lot of clients, they like to sit there and chat with you while you're grooming, or not while you're actually groomed, but like when you're done, they want to sit down for 15 minutes and catch up and talk and stuff like that. So you learn a lot more about the people. It's a lot more personal. It's a little bit more emotional. And typically the people who want you to groom in their house, they're a different kind of client than someone who just is willing to drop their dog off at a salon and come back, 6 hours later, and mentally and emotionally,
I know, yeah. It's a different game, and you need to be good at it. Because if you have a client that wants to chat, you have to chat.
Yeah.
When people like you, they will see the best of you and your work. So, staying on going inside somebody's house, it's stressful. I get a lot of anxiety for new clients, because I'm like, I don't want to be. Ricky Lauren was one of those helicopters. She will sit inside the bathroom, with me grooming, because she just wanted to chat. And I told her, if you want to chat with me, invite me to your Hanukkah party. But I have to work, and I'm terrified of making a mistake with you. And
don't you find know that that's what they want, though? That's why they have a
Yes,
household groomer. A lot of them
a
are
lot of them, yes.
introverted people who this is their outlet to socialize.
Correct.
You
Correct.
know,
And dogs are, everybody loves dogs, but it's very hard to talk about your dog with people that they are not dog persons. You
yeah.
know, they don't let the crazy out. Like as groomers, they will tell me, I don't know, most of them love their dogs more than their husbands and more than,
More
they,
sometimes more than the kids. They've said it.
I
They've
know
said it
they
to
have to
me.
say it
You
to
can go
me.
ahead and say it.
So exactly, I didn't want to say it, but but the thing is, they feel that freedom or freedom of expressing how devoted they are for their dogs because their dogs are such a huge part of their lives.
Well, I mean,
We
it's their
both have
second
worked with
children, right?
famous,
It's
yeah, and we both, you and me, have worked with famous and infamous people, and the common denominator is that their dog is the only living being that doesn't judge them. So they get home and you know what it was on the newspapers because you see it on the news, and the dog is wagging their tail like he's seeing the
right.
best human on the
Right.
planet. So their
But
attachment with the dog, and that's,
but
yeah,
also in that moment, though, to build upon that, in that moment, not only does the dog is giving them like that moment of no judgment, but when you're there, you're in their home taking care of their dog, and they're interacting with you. They don't want you to ask them about the latest
inside
collection of
trading.
clothing or the latest movie they did or
No,
their latest song. They want you to just talk about the dog. And so for that moment while you're grooming the dog, even though that person has such a big persona in the world, when you're in that room with that person in the moment, their celebrity goes away and they're on the
that is
floor
dog God.
cuckooing over the
I know.
dog,
I
right?
used
It just
to
comes.
suffer with, if I was grooming bikini and Ralph Lauren will showed up in the middle of the groom and he wanted it to just hug the dog, and I was like, oh my God, the dog is full of hair, his suit is impeccable, and I'm like, and he's asking me to shut, and I was just give it, and he will roll on the floor, play with the dog for a second, say goodbye, and leave, and made a nightmare for me to keep grooming the dog. But I was always, they just don't care. They, the moment they get
Yeah,
home and they see you with their dog, you see the best out of any human when you are taking
yeah.
care of their dog.
I
It's like
remember
no doubt.
one time I was going to Ralph Lauren's house to groom his dog, and I honestly swear to God it was not conscious at all, but I didn't even realize that day I put on polo jeans, I was wearing polo sneakers, and I had a big puffy polo jacket. And so when he walked in the room, of course, that's the first thing he noticed, and he goes, "Polo, polo, I see polo everywhere." And I friggin' like choked for a moment because he's such a presence. He has this real demeanor about him, right? And so instead of saying something intelligent like, "Well, you're an incredible designer," or "You're a brilliant designer," or "I love your brilliant designs," no, what did I say? "Oh, well, you make good clothes."
I
Ralph
know
Lauren
you, like you
sits there
get
and says,
start
"Polo
struck.
everywhere," and I felt like I was like, it was
I know,
so ridiculous.
and
But
they used to let you know if you wear another brand.
oh yeah, and what's so funny is they at Christmas one year, the first year, they send everyone Christmas gifts. I got this beautiful Ralph Lauren sweater, but it was too big, and it was a Christmas sweater, and I don't wear like Christmas sweaters. It just wasn't my thing. So I was like, okay, so I brought it back. I brought it back to the store, and when I went to return it, they said, do you know who you received this from? And I said, yeah, I received it from the Laurens. And they said, okay. And I exchanged it for a bunch of polo shirts, right? The next year, they never said a word, never said anything. The next year, when I got my Christmas gift, it was 3 polo shirts. So I
I know,
gagged
they
because I was
know.
like, oh my God, they know I returned their gift.
I know. A quick thing that I'm like, I wish I stop getting so much crap. Every Christmas they will give me clothes, right? Always medium, 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 medium size, medium. I'm a size medium. 1 year, large. Okay, so I was like, okay, I called the office and I say, I want to know who was the person who said, Jorge, he's no longer a medium. Let's upgrade. I was so mad. I told that to everybody in the office until I found out, and the lady who put it, I wanted it to know what made her think that I had gained weight. And she said no, and she was like, no, but these are made. We know they're running short, and I'm like, I still want a medium. I'm like, but I was so upset that I'm like, who went down the list and saying medium?
I'm just picturing you like opening it up and going, oh, what?
And, I was horrified, and I made them know it. So, yeah.
All right, listen, we've been on here an hour. Let's wrap this up tonight.
Oh my God.
We'll do this again. I'm gonna have you back again. This was great.
Well, guys, everybody who watch, send topics and whatever.
Yeah.
But we should keep digging into and I had 1,000 questions to ask about products that you can answer.
Well,
and to make
why don't we pick this up? Why don't you join me again next Tuesday and we'll pick up part 2.
See you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday. Thank you guys for all tuning in tonight. We really appreciate it. You can watch us on playback, and we will see you at a show very soon. Have a nice weekend, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Talk to you later. I'm going to eat.